the United States of America, a country born from revolution, built on the ideals of freedom and opportunity. Its journey, from a collection of colonies to a global superpower, is a story of resilience, innovation, and the unwavering spirit of its people. From its humble beginnings, the United States has always been a land of vast potential and promise. The story of its rise is one of ambition, struggle, and ultimately triumph. This essay will explore the key milestones that marked America's transformation, highlighting the challenges faced and overcome, and the unwavering spirit that propelled it onto the world stage. The narrative of the United States is intricately woven with the threads of ambition, struggle, and the pursuit of a better tomorrow. It is a story for the ages, one that continues to inspire and captivate audiences worldwide. The story begins in the 17th century with the establishment of the 13 colonies along the Atlantic coast of North America. These colonies, each unique in character and driven by the pursuit of religious freedom and economic opportunity, were initially governed by the British Crown. Life under British rule, however, was not without its challenges and difficulties. The colonists, accustomed to a degree of self-governance, increasingly chafed under the restrictive policies imposed by the distant British Parliament. Taxes levied on essential goods such as tea and stamps, without the consent of the colonists, fueled resentment and a growing sense of injustice. The cry of no taxation without representation reverberated throughout the colonies, signaling the brewing storm of revolution. The colonists yearned for the freedom to chart their own destiny, free from the shackles of what they perceived as tyrannical rule. The stage was set for a momentous clash, a conflict that would ultimately redefine the relationship between a colony and its mother country. The simmering tensions between Great Britain and its American colonies finally reached a boiling point in 1775, a year that would forever change the course of history. The colonies, long chafing under British rule, found themselves at a crossroads. The oppressive policies and taxes imposed by the British Parliament had ignited a fire of rebellion in the hearts of the colonists. This unrest culminated in the first shots fired at the Battle of Lexington and Concord, igniting the American Revolutionary War. These battles were not just skirmishes, they were the opening salvos in a struggle for the very soul of a new nation. Emboldened by the ideals of liberty and self-determination, the colonists, led by figures like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, took up arms against the mighty British Empire. These leaders, with their vision and courage, inspired a fledgling nation to stand up against tyranny. Washington, with his military acumen, and Jefferson, with his eloquent words, became symbols of the fight for freedom. On July 4, 1776, amidst the turmoil of war, the Continental Congress took the bold step of declaring independence from Great Britain. This was not a decision made lightly. It was a declaration of intent, a statement to the world that the American colonies would no longer be subjugated. The Declaration of Independence was a beacon of hope, a document that articulated the aspirations of a people yearning to be free. The Declaration of Independence, a powerful testament to the principles of equality and human rights, proclaimed that all men are created equal and endowed with certain unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This document was not just a list of grievances, it was a manifesto for a new way of life, one where the government derived its power from the consent of the governed. The Revolutionary War raged for 8 long years, testing the resolve and resilience of the fledgling nation. The colonists faced numerous hardships, from brutal winters to shortages of supplies, yet their determination never wavered. Each battle, each sacrifice brought them one step closer to their goal of independence. The Continental Army, poorly equipped and outnumbered, faced the formidable might of the British military. The British forces, with their superior numbers and resources, seemed an insurmountable foe. However, the colonists had something the British did not: an unyielding belief in their cause and the support of local militias who knew the land intimately. Yet, fueled by an unwavering belief in their cause, the colonists persevered. Inspirational speeches by leaders, acts of bravery on the battlefield, and the support of the civilian population kept the revolutionary spirit alive. The colonists' resilience and ingenuity turned the tide in their favor, despite the overwhelming odds. The decisive victory at Yorktown in 1781 marked a turning point in the war, leading to the recognition of American independence by Great Britain. This victory was not just a military triumph, it was a validation of the colonists' struggle and sacrifice. The surrender of British General Cornwallis at Yorktown signaled the end of British attempts to quell the rebellion. The newly formed United States of America, forged in the crucible of revolution, emerged on the world stage, a beacon of hope for those seeking freedom and self-governance. The ideals that had driven the revolution, liberty, equality, and democracy, became the foundation upon which the new nation was built. The United States, with its bold experiment in self-governance, inspired other nations and peoples to pursue their own dreams of freedom. Following the triumph of the American Revolution, the newly formed nation embarked on an unprecedented period of expansion and growth. The victory over British rule not only secured independence but also ignited a sense of boundless possibility and ambition among the American people. This newfound freedom and optimism set the stage for a transformative era in the nation's history. Driven by the spirit of manifest destiny, the belief that the United States was destined to stretch from coast to coast, Americans pushed westward, settling new territories and displacing Native American populations. This ideology was more than just a call to explore, it was a deeply ingrained conviction that expansion was both justified and inevitable. The promise of fertile land, economic opportunity, and a fresh start lured countless families to brave the unknown. This westward expansion, while instrumental in shaping the nation's geographical boundaries, came at a significant cost. The journey was fraught with peril, from treacherous terrain to harsh weather conditions, and many settlers faced unimaginable hardships. Yet, their determination and resilience helped carve out new communities and states, forever altering the American landscape. The forced removal of Native Americans from their ancestral lands, often through brutal and inhumane means, remains a dark chapter in American history. Policies like the Indian Removal Act of 1830 led to events such as the Trail of Tears, where thousands of Native Americans were forcibly relocated, suffering immense loss and hardship. This tragic displacement not only decimated populations but also eroded rich cultural heritages that had thrived for centuries. The 19th century also witnessed the rapid industrialization of the United States. This era, known as the Industrial Revolution, marked a significant shift from manual labor and agrarian economies to mechanized manufacturing processes. Innovations in technology and transportation, such as the steam engine and railroads, played crucial roles in this transformation. The rise of factories and mills, fueled by technological advancements and an influx of European immigrants seeking a better life, transformed the nation from an agrarian society to an industrial powerhouse. These immigrants brought diverse skills and cultures, contributing to the vibrant tapestry of American society. They worked long hours in often dangerous conditions, driven by the hope of achieving the American dream. Cities grew at an astonishing rate, attracting waves of immigrants who provided the labor force for the expanding industries. Urban centers like New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia became bustling hubs of activity, teeming with people from all walks of life. The rapid urbanization led to the development of new infrastructure, including roads, bridges, and public transportation systems, which further fueled economic growth. However, this period of rapid growth also brought about challenges, including urban poverty, labor unrest, and social inequalities, issues that would continue to shape the nation's social and political landscape for generations to come. The stark contrast between the wealthy industrialists and the struggling working class led to tensions and conflicts, giving rise to labor movements and calls for social reform. These struggles highlighted the need for a more equitable society and laid the groundwork for future advancements in workers' rights and social justice. The issue of slavery, a deeply ingrained institution in the American South since the colonial era, was a source of immense tension and conflict. This practice, which saw human beings treated as property, was not only morally reprehensible, but also a significant economic factor in the southern states. Slavery cast a long shadow over the nation's growth and prosperity, creating a stark divide between the North and the South. The North, with its burgeoning industries and growing urban centers, was moving towards a more modern, wage-based economy. In contrast, the southern states were heavily reliant on slave labor for their agricultural economies, particularly in the production of cotton, which was a major export. This reliance on slavery created a deeply entrenched social and economic system that Southern elites were determined to protect. As a result, Southern politicians fiercely resisted any attempts to abolish the practice. They argued that slavery was not only essential for their economic survival but also a part of their cultural identity and way of life. By the mid-19th century, the ideological divide between the North and the South over slavery had reached a critical point. Abolitionists in the North were becoming increasingly vocal and organized, demanding an end to the inhumane practice. The election of Abraham Lincoln, a staunch opponent of slavery, as president in 1860 proved to be the catalyst for secession. Lincoln's victory was seen as a direct threat to the Southern way of life and their economic interests. In response, 11 Southern states, fearing the abolition of slavery and the erosion of their way of life, chose to secede from the Union. They believed that their rights and freedoms were under attack and that secession was their only option. These states formed the Confederate States of America, a new nation dedicated to preserving slavery and states' rights. The formation of the Confederacy marked the beginning of a new and tumultuous chapter in American history. The American Civil War, a brutal and bloody conflict that pitted brother against brother, erupted in 1861. This war was not just a battle over territory, but a fundamental struggle over the future direction of the United States. For 4 long years, the nation was torn apart as the Union Army, fighting to preserve the Union and end slavery, clashed with the Confederate Army, determined to defend their right to self-determination and the institution of slavery. The battles were fierce and the casualties were high, with both sides suffering immense losses. The war tested the limits of American endurance and resolve, leaving deep scars on the nation's landscape and psyche. The Civil War remains the deadliest conflict in American history, claiming the lives of over 600,000 soldiers. The immense loss of life and the widespread destruction brought about by the war had a profound impact on the country. The Union victory in 1865 preserved the Union and led to the abolition of slavery, marking a pivotal turning point in American history. The end of the war brought about significant changes, including the passage of the 13th Amendment, which officially abolished slavery in the United States. This period of reconstruction and healing was crucial for the nation as it sought to rebuild and move forward. The legacy of the Civil War and the abolition of slavery continue to shape American society and its values to this day.